Ja, jag heter alltså Amanda Termén och är er moderator här på förmiddagen. Jag kommer i vanliga fall från Språngkommunikation, men idag är jag såklart er representant här med de som presenterar och jag ska ställa era frågor, så var snälla och skicka in dem till mig. Idag kommer vi att prata mycket läkemedel men också med inslag av fastigheter och hållbar kemi. Men vi börjar faktiskt i gruvindustrin. And we're going to switch over to English because our first presenter is CEO of Beowulf Mining, Kurt Budge. So I say welcome to you, Kurt, and please give us your presentation.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks very much. It is a good morning, isn't it, given the news of the COVID-19 vaccine? And it definitely feels like a new beginning. And it's very much a new beginning for Beowulf this year. Last Friday, we announced a capital raising, the largest since I joined the company in 2014. We're giving SDR holders in Sweden the opportunity to participate in a rights issue. And also there's the opportunity for other investors to participate and support the company as well. It's at a very attractive discount, and really the funds that we get from the rights issue will put the company on a very solid platform to be able to have a very exciting 2021 ahead of us. 2020 has been a very challenging year for all of us for all sorts of reasons, but I hope through this presentation to build your awareness of the company and also to show you all the opportunities that we have for creating value within Beowulf. Here are some details on the capital raising that we announced last Friday. I won't go through these in detail, but I just want to make you aware that we've put them in the presentation, and there'll be more materials being made public over the coming days and weeks to give investors the opportunity to understand exactly what the capital raising is about. And similarly, there's a slide here on the indicative timeline for the rights issue in Sweden. The key dates to remember are that the rights issue subscription period will open on the 20th of November and it will run to the 4th of December. For those that don't know anything about Beowulf, we're an exploration and development company. We've been listed in Sweden since 2008. We're 68% owned by Swedish shareholders. We are a diversified company. We have a range of businesses in the company that give us exposure to a variety of commodities, and we're operating in 3 countries, Sweden, Finland and Kosovo. We're most well known for our Kallak iron ore project, which is close to Jokkmokk in the county of Norrbotten in Sweden. But in 2016, we acquired Fennoscandian Resources in Finland, which is a graphite exploration company. And then in 2018, we invested in Vardar Minerals, which is exploring for gold and base metals in Kosovo. The company is very well positioned at the moment, both in terms of the magnetite that we're looking to produce from Kallak and also the graphite that we're looking to produce from Fennoscandian. The time is very much now for a company like Beowulf in terms of the way that society and society's needs for metals is changing. It's very much a green transition that's taking place both in the Nordic region and in Europe. And Beowulf is very well positioned to service and supply the metals that transition needs. So with Kallak, we have a large-scale resource, a potential for a long-life mining operation, the ability to produce a market-leading concentrate of 71.5% iron content. In Fennoscandian, we are looking at developing a resource and production base which allows Finland to achieve its ambitions of self-sufficiency in producing batteries, but also we're on the doorstep of both Nordic and European markets. And then with Vardar, we're exploring basically to produce a new source of metal supply, again, in close proximity to Europe. Jokkmokk Iron Mines is our 100% owned subsidiary, which holds the Kallak iron ore project. Kallak is the most well-known project associated with Beowulf, and what's often forgotten is the diversification that we have brought into the company. Kallak is really benefited by its location. You can access the site very easily. We are in the basic industry heartland of northern Sweden, Norrbotten, a mining heartland. We have access to renewable power, which enables us to achieve our ambitions of having a fossil-free mining operation. And we also have access to markets. The Inlandsbanan, which is the closest railway, is 40 kilometers away. And that gives us access both to the port of Luleå via the Malmbanan, but also to access the Atlantic port at Narvik in Norway. And then you also have developing markets within Norrbotten, and specifically the Hubrit project at Luleå, which is hopefully what the steel industry looks like in the future, fossil-free. We've been developing Kallak since 2006. That's when we got the first exploration license. We've invested over 80 million SEK, and that money has gone into both defining the resource, which currently stands at around 150 million tons, with an exploration target for another 100 million tons. So you'll often hear me talk about a global resource of 250 million tons. And that would really support a long life mining operation, which we envisage could be 25 years or more. We've demonstrated that we can produce a market-leading magnetite concentrate at 71.5% iron content, which is clean. And as the steel industry moves towards fossil-free steel making, there's going to be a demand for high-quality feedstock, and that's where Kallak fits in. Both in Sweden and in Europe, there's conversation around transparent supply chains and also security of supply. And end users want to know that they're going to get the feed materials that they need to produce the products they produce. And with Kallak, we believe that the concentrate that Kallak can produce is market leading in terms of the current and the planned future producers that we can see currently. And it's also very competitive with LKAB's MAF product. I put this slide in just to give you a better understanding of the ideal location of Kallak. You know, when we talk about buying houses, it's all about location, location, location. And really, Kallak is benefited by the access to renewable power up in Norrbotten, the access to infrastructure, railways and ports, the access to end users, Hubrit or other end users, and also access to innovation and a very highly skilled employment base. So it really is a great place to be working. In terms of timeline, you can see that it's been 14 years to get to this point, and we've had some issues with regards to permitting over the last few years. But with everything working in our favor going forward, we are 4 to 5 years from production. And during that time frame, you're probably going to see demand or the development, further development of the fossil-free steelmaking industry in Sweden. And you're also going to see growth in demand for generally resources in Europe, and Europe being self-sufficient. So we believe that this is a realistic time frame and one that we're eager to get started on. So if I come on to Fennoscandian Resources, as I said, Fennoscandian was acquired by the company in 2016, and it's a 100% owned subsidiary of Beowulf. In our view, and I think to most people that look at the battery sector, graphite will remain part of the anode material required for lithium-ion batteries, certainly over the next decade. And as the demand for electric vehicles and renewables storage, energy storage grows, so too will the demand for natural flake graphite. And the conversation is very much in Europe and the Nordic region about self-security and sustainability of raw material production. End users want to know where those materials are, the materials that they are using in their manufacturing process are coming from, and they want to know that they have secure and consistent supply. And this year, with the EU's latest critical raw materials list, natural flake graphite was added to the list. Our focus with Fennoscandian is very much on building a resource and production base. We started very much like an exploration company does, investigating projects and then doing the work to actually develop the resource. But in addition to that, what we've also done is we've been building our knowledge about moving downstream. So actually moving towards taking the production from the mine and developing products. And so a lot of the test work that we've done has been to do that, to build our capability. And we've been very well supported by the government of Finland through one of their agencies, Business Finland, in doing that. Again, with Altolampi, our most advanced graphite project, we're benefited by its location, the ability to access the site, the access to infrastructure, power, but also that we're very close to Outokumpu, the mining town, and very well known in the mining industry. We defined our initial resource in 2018 and we upgraded that last year, adding some higher grade material. Very similar to Kallak, what we do when we define the resources, we do the test work to prove the quality of the products that we can generate. And similar to Kallak, where we have a market-leading product, we've also demonstrated with Altolampi that the physical characteristics of the graphite and our ability to process it in terms of the purity that we can get it to make it very suitable for the battery market. There's still work to be done, but we are definitely heading in the right direction. So 2021 for Fennoscandian looks like a very busy year. With Altolampi, we're looking at doing a scoping study that will both advance the technical work on the project and also the economics. And as part and parcel of that, we're looking at developing, creating a pilot plant for producing spherical graphite for batteries and other high value graphite products. What the pilot plant will do is effectively enable us to start the pre-qualification timeline for our material in terms of being able to sell it into the battery market. Sometimes these processes take a period of time, a couple of years maybe. So we're really getting on the front foot with regards to that. And it helps us to develop our marketing strategy for the business. And in addition, what we're looking at is alternative sources of raw materials. So not necessarily coming from the mining space, but also the opportunity to find supplies of graphite, which may come from recycled materials. So lots of development taking place within this business, but the firm focus is on supplying the battery market. So coming on to Vardar, which we invested in 2018, we currently own 46% of the business. Beowulf has invested about £1.6 million in Vardar. The company has two licenses at the moment, Mitrovica in northern Kosovo and Viti in southeastern Kosovo. And it's in a very exciting exploration area called the Tethyan Belt, which in southeastern Europe is regarded as the region's chief copper and gold province. In the last few weeks, you may have seen that we've put out several announcements regarding results on both Mitrovica, well, Wolf Mountain and Mitrovica and Majdan Peak, and I'll come on to those in a minute. And those results have followed a geophysics program that we funded with money that we raised in August from Nordic investors. Moving on to Mitrovica. Mitrovica has 4 different targets: Wolf Mountain to the north, Majdan Peak in the south, in the middle there, and Mitrovica South. And underlying all of these targets, we believe there is a much larger porphyry mineralized system, something that is feeding the metal that we are discovering both at surface in soils and now through geophysics that we are starting to identify below surface as well. We also have a range of commodities, so gold at Majdan Peak, but lead, zinc, silver at Wolf Mountain, and then Mitrovica South, zinc, copper and gold. This is a depiction of what you expect to see with a classic porphyry system. Usually these are large-scale bulk mining deposits. And what we are seeing as we start to do more work on Mitrovica and both Viti, the other license, is that we are building out the picture of a mineralized system. And what you're seeing is all the features that you would expect to see within a porphyry deposit. At Wolf Mountain, we have a large mineralized gossan at surface. That's the oxidized material of an ore body that you see a deposit. And that is really has provided us with the ability to map and also to sample. And we've come up with several percent in terms of almost 5% in terms of lead zinc at surface. And then last year we did drilling. And most recently, in the announcement we put out 2 weeks ago, we went on and did geophysics program, which has identified geophysical anomalies below surface in the locations we would expect to see them. So if I draw your attention to the bottom left section, the white blobs that you can see are the geophysical anomalies that sit below surface. And the exciting thing about this slide is that where those white blobs reach surface is where we've sampled lead and zinc mineralization. The white blobs are also following the contact that we would expect them to follow between two different rock types. So the picture, as I've described it, is all coming together. And this basically is forming the information base that we need to be able to define new targets for drilling in 2021. Coming on to Majdan Peak, this is another large-scale gold anomaly that we have identified, 1,400 meters by 700 meters. We've been discovering gold in soils and also through grab sampling. And the geophysics work that we've done most recently, which we put out an announcement about last week, has again identified anomalies below surface. And what you can see on the left-hand side here is the anomaly and how it extends the surface. And again, what we have is mineralization that we've sampled at surface where the anomaly is coming to surface. So the picture again is building, and this is allowing us to also create a drill plan for 2021 and to drill what we hope is a gold deposit. Mitrovica South, which we've done less work on, but is also an important target, is copper zinc gold, sorry. And what distinguishes the Vardar team in the work that they have done is they've been very rigorous in the exploration model that they built up. And this really gave us the confidence to invest in Vardar and to support their work program in 2019, 2020, and we're looking forward to a very exciting 2021. And then coming finally on to Viti, which often gets forgotten because we create so much news flow around Mitrovica. But with Viti, last year we drilled 2 drill holes and they both intersected copper and gold mineralization. So the geophysics program is now back onto Viti as I'm speaking to you. And we're hoping for more news flow to come from both Mitrovica South and Viti over the coming weeks. So really, just to wrap up in terms of the value drivers for Beowulf on what I want to leave you with today, is that we are at a pivotal moment. The capital raising, as I said, is the largest fundraising that I have done since I've been chief executive of the company. We're doing that because we have building together the foundation with Kallak for our company, but we also have Fennoscandian, which is positioned very nicely to service the battery market. It's a very exciting market which is developing. And we also have the excitement of Vardar and the potential for a new metals supply in the future. So really over the next year, 2021, what we're looking at is we hope a final decision on Kallak, such we can take that project forward first to a scoping study, that we can expand the resource, which we believe there's potential to do, and really push that project forward in partnership with community and Jokkmokk. With Fennoscandian, it's very much focused on building out the resource and the production base. and we've got some exciting developments there. And with Vardar, it's really more of the same. We are both with Fennoscandian and Vardar, the English expression, we are starting to put the meat on the bones of these two business areas. I don't believe that they're in the share price. Certainly with Vardar, we are now starting to build a picture, and I've shown you 2 slides where it's very much a picture with geophysical anomalies which present us with targets for drilling in 2021. So we are looking forward to a very busy and a very exciting 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kurt. So meat on the bones, that sounds like something stock owners would like. But first I would like to ask you, of course, after this very strange year, what has 2020 been like for Beowulf Mining?
I think it's been very frustrating because we rely on actually being in the field and doing work, and we've been restricted in what we can do. And so that's been a big challenge. I guess in March, the immediate response to COVID-19 was the drop in the markets. And for a junior exploration development company that relies on raising equity finance to fund the business, that presents issues. So we've managed to weather that storm. Clearly we're all feeling very optimistic this morning about the promise of a vaccine. And so we feel optimistic both about the back end of this year in terms of the capital raising that we announced on Friday and our plans for 2021. We have lived within our means during the time that I've been CEO. You never want to raise too much money and create dilution, but we have the plans for 2021, which we think, and the attractive discount that we're offering within this capital raising to investors to be able to take the company forward. And we're very ambitious. So put 2020 behind us and move forward.
But are you carrying any delays from this year going into next year, or are you on timetable?
No, we're on timetable. We've been very fortunate we've used the time effectively with Fennoscandian and with Vardar. We've been enhancing the business plan for Fennoscandian and what it is we need to be doing with the company. And with Vardar, we've been able to actually do work in the field. So earlier in the year, we were doing soil sampling programs at the gold target, Majdan Peak. And the results of that let us plan for the geophysical program, which we then funded with the money that we raised from Nordic investors in August. So we've actually been able to do work in Kosovo through this year, which is really supporting our exploration plan for 2021.
And if you would, you have a capital raising now, of course, that's good for you. But if you put yourself in the seat of a potential investor, why is this the perfect time for them to join you?
Well, we have progress in all areas of our business. So with Kallak, which the company is most well known for, we recruited new advisors in August to intensify our efforts to get the permit for that project. So there's movement in that area of the business. And then, as I've talked about, with Fennoscandian, it's very much the plan for 2021 is both around doing the project development work on Altolampi and also this qualifying the material that we can produce from Altolampi for the battery sector. And further developing our capability. We're a big believer in collaborations, and there's the opportunity to collaborate, especially in the battery space. So we're looking forward to that. And then with Vardar, it's very much a case of going back to the meat on the bones. And when you start an exploration program in a new country with licenses that may not have had too much work done on them, there isn't a lot for investors to grab hold of. But where we're getting to now is that, as you can see from the slides that I showed, is that the picture is really starting to build. So you do that early stage work, and then we did an initial round of drilling, especially on the Wolf Mountain target at Mitrovica last year. But we're really pushing forward now in terms of drilling next year, which will then start to, we hope, discover more mineralization.
Mm-hmm. And also, I would like to take a step back for those who don't know you. So if we look at the mining industry, there are many companies, but what makes you special?
What makes us special? That's a great question. I think it's we are slightly different to other mining companies in the sense that many of my peers are probably single commodity, single asset companies. If you look at, say, LKAB, they are predominantly an iron ore company. Or if you look at Boliden, they are predominantly a base metals company. We have, over the time, because we're in the junior mining sector, we have to continually create news flow for the market to keep investors interested in Beowulf. And so immediately on the face of it, you say, well, I'm not sure I want to be in iron ore, graphite and base metals. Why is this company in all three of those commodities? Why is it in 3 countries? And we're in those commodities because we have teams allocated to all those business areas, and we have progress being made in all those business areas. So, we are at a point in time where I believe I hate to use the word, but tipping point in terms of where the company is going. We're getting closer to a decision on Kallak. We're in a very exciting battery space with Fennoscandian, and we've also got this really interesting exploration program taking place in Kosovo, which is a potential source of new metals supply in the future. So I don't want to give the impression that we have no focus. We very much have a rigid focus on our different business areas, and we have teams allocated to each of those. The reason that we invested in Vardar is because we were presented with a management team there, highly technically competent, which is what you're looking for, a really intelligent exploration idea, and supported regionally by very technically competent geologists.
So what are your criteria when you choose a project? We realize you want diversification, but what else are your criteria when you choose where to go?
I think I'm looking at a lot of different parameters around any acquisition or investment we make, and it's about building the capability of the company. In a mining company, you rely on the teams that you can develop to actually execute the work. And we have a tremendous team. It's not a very big team, but we work very closely together. And so that's one of the things. When it comes to the actual assets that we're looking at, I am very hungry to put an asset in production. A lot of my focus has been taken away by the Kallak project for the last 5 years. And I came into 2020 very determined that we were going to take the company forward in all its different business areas. And, fundamentally, if you're putting an asset into production, the day I fill a lorry with product or a ship or a train is going to be a very happy day, because I am at the way I've grown up in the industry as an operator working on sites. And so I'm very hungry for production and generating cash flow, and I aspire to having a revenue line. So while at the moment the company has all sort of pre-production assets, Kallak has our most developed asset. The demand in the battery space, Europe and the Nordic region needs anode material, and it needs it in the coming years. So that's a much smaller scale operation, Altolampi. So we have the ability to potentially put that in production. And then with Vardar, it's probably longer term, but we have other ways of realizing value for shareholders. So the focus is very much on cash.
And it sounds like you have good opportunities, but something that investors also want to know about is, of course, risks. So what are your main risks going forward?
I think with any mining company, permitting is never an easy job. And in the Nordic region, because of the high environmental standards, it takes time to get permits. But I think that my father always said to me, if you do the work, you should get the results. And we as a company have definitely done the work to be able to get the permits. So that to me is one of the most significant risks at the moment. Time is money. And we have had our frustrations, which I think the market is aware of. But what we've done is we've seen the opportunity in those frustrations, and that's why we've diversified the company, to diversify the risk and to make sure that we can keep moving the company forward if we've got one particular business area that is being slowed down because of, say, a permitting process.
Okay, and now I want a quick answer for you for this last question. So, of course, the capital raising investors are welcome. How far will this capital take you?
Oh, I envisage at least the next 12 to 18 months. I mean, with an exploration development company, it depends on your ambitions. So we could very easily come up with a budget for drilling next year in Kosovo, which would, eat into a substantial portion of the capital raising. But we are very focused and we guard our cash resources very, very closely. So we will push the capital out for as long as we can.
Okay, and by that I say thank you so much, Kurt Budge and Beowulf Mining. Good luck going forward.
Thank you very much.